In a golden age of gaming, with more games, developers, genres, and devices than ever before, choices seem limitless, but actually choosing is a real challenge. Good games can sneak by like a hidden gem undiscovered, while trash games threaten to waste your time and your money if you choose them by mistake. Today, we're going to be looking at Monster Hunter World and asking that all-important question, is it really worth it? Keep in mind, my reviews are based on my personal time that I've invested into the game, not based on anything I've watched or based on anything I've read, but on actual first-hand experiences and gameplay. So, first off, let's talk about the core mechanics. Monster Hunter World is an action RPG with some crafting elements, and at its heart, the core mechanics are easily the star of the show. The game is about hunting monsters in a lush environment, but really, it's so much more than that. Your game cycle can be summed up like this. You're going to hunt this monster, carve it up, make new stuff out of those monster parts, and then hunt the next monster. This process in and of itself is not too different from other games, but it's the details that make it immersive and exhilarating to play. First of all, each monster feels very different from all the rest. Not only does each monster have their own attack patterns, weaknesses, special abilities, size, speed, appearance, etc., but they also have different levels on a complete food chain. The first time you're engaged in an epic battle with a monster and then a larger monster higher on the food chain shows up, it's a very impactful experience. This can happen all the time or none of the time, as the monsters will each have their own personalities. Perhaps one monster is more aggressive and will pick a fight with everything it sees, eating everything in its path. Another monster might be more apt to run away from you sooner or even not engage you in a fight unless you attack first. This variety really creates a feeling of a living, breathing ecosystem that you are a part of. It's big, it's hostile, and it's a lot of fun to explore and discover. Combat mechanics, I would say it's rather technical. This game would be the complete opposite of a hack and slash, requiring skill to master a given weapon. Button presses have to be precisely timed and in proper order to maximize yourself in combat. In many ways, the lack of a leveling system that normally accompanies these types of action RPGs is your own knowledge base. Learning a monster's attack patterns, learning the environmental traps and hazards you can use to your advantage, heck, even learning about who is higher up in the ecosystem all plays a role in whether or not you'll be successful in your hunt. Death is only a minor setback on this game, as the death mechanic for your character simply lowers your reward until you fail and have to try again, coming back wiser and more prepared for the monster that bested you. Secondly, we're going to talk about graphics. The graphics in this game are beyond beautiful. The detail tucked away into every single level is astounding, and even the cinema scenes are eye candy that can be incredibly impressive and build up to epic moments. Not always, though. We'll touch on this in a minute. The game feels very polished on the graphics side of the house and makes for a very pleasant and immersive experience. It's part of why every monster encounter feels so incredibly epic. The music ties into the graphics well during combat, as the orchestral flair adds a lot of dramatic feeling to an already impressive battle. Outside of the combat, well, what can I say? It's town music and it reminds me of other JRPGs. I don't really think it's too much to write home about outside of combat. Third thing we're going to talk about is the story. The story is, how can I put this? Garbage. Okay, to be fair, there is a story, and for what it's trying to be, it does it okay. I think my biggest issue with the story is that the characters are all cliché. The storyline is basically a reason to go from monster to monster and zone to zone. While the cinematics are all beautiful and can add to the drama during a boss fight, I find myself trying to skip the cinematics back in town, even though you can't, or just spamming through the text as fast as I can so that I can get back out to the hunt quicker where the actual fun is happening. A lot of these characters really aren't developed in any real meaningful way, and it's more of job A needs to be done, so go out and do job A. Okay, now job B needs to be done, go out and do job B, and so on. Fourth, we're going to touch on content and depth. In a world where Day 1 DLC is a thing, and games routinely hold things back to sell them to you in bite-sized increments, Monster Hunter World goes the opposite direction. Instead of content held back in Day 1 DLC, this game offers you everything up front. A huge amount of content right out of the gate. So much content and depth that it in fact can be a little intimidating to new players of the franchise. There is a lot to do in the new world, and you won't run out of things to check out and complete anytime soon. The main series of quests built into the progression of the game take about 40 hours roughly to complete, and from there, the end game has a staggering amount of content with harder versions of monsters to timed events to arena battles. The list goes on and on. Capcom has also announced that all DLC will be free for all players for the entirety of the game, as well as 0 microtransactions, period. If that isn't reason enough to support this game right there in this day and age, I don't know what else is. Fifth, we're going to talk about multiplayer and single-player differences. This game actually does something very impressive that other games haven't been able to do this to this point. It rides a very nice line of being accessible to both single-player and multiplayer-driven gamers. In fact, with the help of your Palico and the friends he can recruit along the way, it's possible to do almost everything in the game single-player. You might have to be more creative with traps when you fight the monster, but that can add to the fun if it's your playstyle. Once you invite other players into your group though, the monsters get harder, and your cats go away after you hit 3 people in a party. But the fights feel about as difficult as they were before when you were by yourself. All in all, the multiplayer aspect of this game being available for those that want it, but not shoved down your throat for those that don't, makes this game shine above a lot of other games in this category, where you either have no multiplayer available or no single-player endgame possibilities. This game has both. That being said, at the time of this review, the game still has some multiplayer bugs with connectivity. It can be frustrating at times, but Capcom has been updating non-stop since the game came out, trying to fix the issues. To their credit, they did sell 7 million copies, so I imagine their servers are struggling a little bit to keep up. Finally, let's talk about the grind. Every game has a grind. We all know grind very, very well, but Monster Hunter World actually does the grind right. So at first, as I'm killing all these monsters, I'm having fun, everything is going well, but I start to see a potential problem ahead of me. Hunting these monsters is a blast. It's the meat and potatoes of the game, and it's oh so good. But what happens when I start to run out of things to make my potions with? Do I have to start grinding plants to keep my stockpile up, interrupting the action? What if I need a fang from a low-level monster and it doesn't drop? Do I have to go and keep fighting the same monster over and over? No. Monster Hunter World does something truly inspirational when it comes to how they approach the grind. On its surface, there's always some level to grind, but what the game does oh so right is it rewards your progress by automating some of the grind. Oh, you don't want to gather plants anymore? No problem. You've earned the right to skip that now. Farmed the same monster a couple of times? No sweat. Now you can send out a team of cats to do it for you and bring the goods back. This idea of rewarding the player's progress with automating the would-be grind is astounding. It really lets you get back to the core of the game, the thing that is the most fun, the thing that everyone who plays this game wants to do and can't stop thinking about, hunting more monsters. There you have it. That's my first-hand breakdown of Monster Hunter World. In the end, weighing all the pros and cons, I believe for me, this game is totally worth it. The handful of flaws or shortcomings that may exist are too small to notice when compared to the epic feeling of fighting these beasts in a beautiful, handcrafted, living, breathing environment with friends or alone with your cats. Now, if you want a well-written, compelling story that makes you care about the characters, I would check somewhere else, because you won't find that here. Really, I can't skip this conversation? Go back to the cats at least. I mean, look at these cats. They're so adorable. They cook your food. They fight for you. They grind for you. They're the coolest thing. I can't get over the Palicos. Seriously, give me more cats. I'd love to know what your takeaway is. Have you played it yet? Are there reservations you have? Did you agree with my review? Are there other games you'd like to see me review? Let me know in the comments so we can have a conversation about it. And until next time, take care.